Hey everyone, Neil here. Welcome back to the Weekly Source. Very special guest today, Alan Primeaux, the new Chief Operating Officer here at PlanSource. Alan, we haven't gotten a chance to meet face to face yet. You started, I think, 2 months ago, and then a month in, we go into quarantine. So super excited to have you on. I know that you're doing some great stuff here. Welcome to the show.
Interesting couple of months. I just passed my 2-month anniversary, and I was telling somebody today that I think I've been working from home longer than I worked in the office. So it's been a unique dynamic over the course of the last couple of months, but it's been fantastic. So
yeah, very excited to have you on as a part of the family as well. And I know, again, we had the announcements, and then it probably had about a month of time before it's become, COVID and how we operate. But hey, just a sense, for our listeners and watchers, can you give us just a bit of background on yourself, where you're coming from, and kind of how you got to PlanSource?
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you look at my background, really the one theme you see all the way through is just heavy in services. I've worked in a software-based business the vast majority of my career, and it's mostly been around professional services, and then obviously, full support and that type of stuff. So, over the last few years, it's been really heavily focused on human capital management. If you kind of work my way backwards, I was at ADP and had responsibility for a really large implementation organization in the upmarket, 1,000 employees and above. And prior to that, I was at Kronos and had a variety of responsibilities in their professional services organization, both domestically and globally. And then prior to that, I was at a company called the Hackett Group, a consulting firm, and spent some time with core business functions across ERP, but finance, manufacturing, HCM, and then I started my consulting career at Oracle. So quite a bit of experience around packaged software. The good news is there's a lot of similarities, and the clients are have similar needs, different size and scale, different set of challenges in some areas, but at the end of the day, it's all configurable software. So
yeah, great point. I mean, I think folks during a time of crisis and, we were learning more about remote work. I mean, just for your perspective, managing such a large business unit here at PlanSource, I mean, how have you found ways to be productive, lead through a time of change like this, and almost practice what you preach on the service side, bringing it over here to PlanSource?
It's interesting. If I go back and look at my early career, a lot of my time was spent in front of clients, face to face. And, even though we have this thing, we're working from home and it's really required, here I am in Orlando and I'm required to work from home. Doing exactly what we're doing now has really been important. You learn so much from the interaction of people and the face to face and just to see the reactions. And I think that's one of the things that we really stress within my organization, and more importantly at PlanSource. When I came to PlanSource, the vast majority of our conference calls and interaction were on video anyway, if it wasn't in the office. And so it's just been a natural bridge between what we were already doing in the office. So now what we're doing at home is just, now there's not any real face-to-face, it's all video. But I've asked my team, and it's really helped us to do the videos, even with clients to the extent we can. Just because it feels like it's more normal. It feels like it's more face-to-face. And you get so much more out of that than just a phone call or even just an email. And you really do get to connect with the individuals. And it really minimizes kind of the distance issue that we're facing right now. So.
Yeah, that's a great point. Even you and I, before getting on, where I'm negotiating kitchen space with my wife, like, be careful, don't be in the background. You've got people in the background of yours. And it's always just fun conversation starter, but again, it's humanizing everything we're doing now.
Like, you understand, like, we're all the same situation. And so, I've seen kids in the background, and, that's actually a part that we didn't really contemplate the benefit. I love seeing some of our folks' kids, and, it humanizes everybody. And, right now, you probably heard it. There's a blower going on back behind me. My neighbor's got yard work going on. It's just life. And, we're all the same from that standpoint. I think it kind of balances things out, and it really does kind of bring the emotion down and kind of brings a little normalcy to it. So.
Very cool. Well, hey, so, I mean, again, you mentioned having experience on the ERP side, HCM side. I mean, what are some trends that may be impacting an HR leader today, right, in the industry, whether it's Tech or HCM, that you've kind of been monitoring and enjoying seeing in your time in the industry?
Yeah, well, I think there's a couple. I think there's a couple big trends. One is, this whole thing right here, your iPhone. This has changed the dynamic of what clients expect from us, and companies have really moved away from the expectation that a B2B type firm is providing business software. No, they want consumer grade software, right? And so that's put a lot of pressure on us to make it where they just pick it up and it works immediately, right? And that's not always the way that the business software works. And so it's put a lot of pressure on development organizations to be able to get the software to be more consumer grade. So I think that's one thing. The other component too is now, because of the way SaaS software works, our clients expect and they want value out of that software as quickly as possible. And so from a services business, it's put a lot of pressure on us in that we have to do everything within our power to get the software up and for the client to get value out of it from almost, as quickly as possible. It causes us to really have to go through and rethink the way we do implementations. How can we leverage technology? How can we make sure our work is organized so that we're moving that work as quickly as possible? And it's really putting pressure on us to get the clients live as quickly as possible. And so I think that'll continue to happen. It also is putting pressure on us from a support standpoint, as I have a fairly large support organization, and that they want things resolved a lot more quickly, right? Because people are up, they're operational on it, they're trying to get value. And so the sooner that they're back up and operating, the sooner they know how to work the software, they're continuing to get the value they're paying for. So to me, it's really around those things: consumer grade software and that experience that the clients expect, but also getting value of what they're paying for more quickly in the relationship.
Yeah, that's really good. Really, 2 or 3 big things in the industry. I mean, what excites you, one, about being here, but also some of the initiatives you feel like you guys are putting into place, whether it's on the service implementation side, that's exciting, that that's going to be new and something that you guys are working on today.
Yeah, well, so there's a couple of things. I mean, one of the things that drew me to PlanSource was just how successful the organization's been in the past. This is a very entrepreneurial organization, just related to things that I'm really excited about within the services or the operations team here at PlanSource, is us going back and rethinking how we do implementations, how we support our clients. And that's, we asked the team to sit down, and this is kind of an exercise sometimes you don't want to do, is we said, look, just sit down with a white sheet of paper and say, if money, time, energy was no object, like what would you do for our clients? And look at it from their perspective. If you were our client, what would you expect us to do? And we've come up with some really good ideas. And so some of those ideas have really involved using kind of that consumer grade technology, but more kind of that back office technology as far as chatbots and robotic processes. We're starting to apply that to how we serve our clients. Can we move them faster? Can we resolve issues faster, and keep the clients focused on the things that really drive their success, which is focused on their employees and on their business, not focusing on issues with software or trying to figure out how to do something within the software. And so we're spending a lot of time and energy. We've got a great backing with Vista. Vista has told us that, hey, if you can do something to drive the client experience, let's go and do it. And so we're in the process of doing some proofs of concepts right now. We're going to be broadly looking to apply that across the implementation experience, but also the support experience, and really drive that quality, that outcome, and that quickness of resolution and quickness of implementation for our clients. So I'm super excited about that. And I know our employees are doing it, because this is kind of the cool factor. When you work in technology, you always want to do the cool things. We're getting to the cool things a lot earlier in my tenure here than I expected. So I'm really excited about that and expecting some great results.
Yeah, once we start hearing buzz of new app releases and things like that are tangible in our hands, it's always exciting. So that's great stuff. And hey, Alan, appreciate you stopping by virtually, of course. Looking forward to meeting face to face, and enjoyed the time today. And thanks so much for stopping by the source.
Yeah, thanks, Neil. I enjoyed it.